He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd.
Let's talk about 2006. Back when YouTube looked like this and the internet was a completely different place. Memes were primitive, censorship barely existed, and gaming content was just not that mainstream. See, back then if you liked video games, then you probably watched reviews or interviews, maybe some footage of an up-and-coming game. But it was never about the person playing the game. Not like it is today. So how did we get here? Well, we can trace things back in a big way to a little video series titled Bad NES Games. A 2-episode web show that changed the way we watched gaming content forever. And it all started with a simple game review.
Why does this need to happen so often? Like every 5 minutes? Why does it take so long? Nobody feels like sitting through this every time. How would you like it if you were playing a game and then every 5 minutes I came over and paused it, then counted 10 tedious seconds and then let you continue play the game?
The way he was so angry and the game was just so bad, it seemed to have this effect on people. Even if they weren't gamers, everybody would be laughing. Today we know that to be the first episode of The Angry Video Game Nerd, but upon release there was only just this one video. The nerd character didn't exist yet. Now this is where James Rolfe comes in, the guy behind the video. See, James is different than most people. Had it been anybody else to come up with an angry retro game review, the concept might have never evolved past just that. But what makes James special is that his main focus throughout his entire creative life has always been making movies. And so, in the second episode, he went for something completely different. This time around, there was almost no gameplay footage at all, and instead what we got felt more reminiscent of a monologue.
This game is fucking horrible! It's fucking horrible!
The character had evolved from an angry reviewer to an angry nerd. A white shirt wearing, Rolling Rock drinking, pens in his pocket nerd. And this shift in attention towards an actual character, a face to the name, nobody knew it at the time, but it was revolutionary. It made the player into the star of the show, and it was the beginning of something massive.
Oh my god! It's Bugs Bunny!
Yeah. What's up, Doc?
I can't believe it! In my own house! It's Bugs Bunny! Bugs fucking Bunny! Ugh!
The Angry Video Game Nerd exploded onto YouTube, ScrewAttack.com, and by extension Game Trailers, and it got so big that even mainstream shows were beginning to recognize him.
We got Angry Video Game Nerd on the phone. Watched some of your work. I loved it. I mean, it's nostalgic, brings back memories of playing some of these shitty games, and you got quite the take on it. It's not just like you're reviewing these things, but you're kind of passionate about it.
Yeah, you got a great way about you as you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
And let me tell you something. Because this was still the old internet where things went unregulated, the antics and humor were, well...
Now you're playing with f***ing shit. You're better off f***ing shit than f***ing with this f***ed up shit. This shit. You don't know shit about how f***ing shitty this f***ing shit is. It's so bad it sucks. It's so f***ing suck it fucks.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly today. But that's part of what made the AVGN videos so great. He was uncensored. He made jokes that wouldn't have been allowed on network television or even modern-day YouTube. He proved that independent gaming content creators can make a living off of their own shows, and he demonstrated the possibilities of having full creative control. A concept that's normalized today but barely existed back then. Within a couple of years, the nerd was basically iconic amongst gamers, and Cinemassacre had garnered a well-established following. And the influence showed within those first 2 years. A new wave of YouTubers who took inspiration from the nerd's format started posting their own game reviews. some taking more inspiration than others, but a lot of really great new channels started to pop up as well. They expanded on the concept and took things in their own fresh directions. And before you knew it, the whole idea of making videos where the player and their opinions were the focus became standard on YouTube. These particular channels focused on comedic skits and delivery to be entertaining, but they also had an indirect effect on where the content would go from there. And with so many channels now focused on gamers and their reactions, suddenly there was a built-in audience for a new type of gaming content: the Let's Play. Now, obviously Let's Plays technically already existed, but they were much more niche and mostly about gameplay. In fact, some didn't even have any form of commentary at all. But what really made them start to blow up was when they became driven by personality, applying the concept that made the nerd and his successors so successful. It was this that propelled Let's Plays into the mainstream. With people like PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye dominating viewership, video games transcended the niche that they once belonged to. It completely changed the industry in ways that nobody ever expected just a few years prior. And while the rise of Twitch is a completely different story from all this, there's something to be said about the popularity of variety streamers today and how similar their audience is to those who watched Let's Play videos in the early to mid 2010s.
How the videos get started, it was really just a little side project. I'm into filmmaking, and the nerd was sort of like a detour, but it's been a cool detour because it's actually like sort of, it's helped me, and after this is over, whenever, it's always going to be something on my resume, and I'm always going to be proud of that, and I have everybody in this room to thank for making that, popular and for doing that.
It's kind of amazing how all of this today was once an unheard of idea. To make a living as a gamer or have an independent gaming show, it never used to seem achievable. That changed forever when James Rolfe created the Angry Video Game Nerd. He showed it was possible to captivate millions, and his influence has lasted into more than a decade later. Massive success was never the plan. It was just a byproduct of doing what he loved: making movies and retro gaming. So if you have a passion for something but you think that nobody will care, follow it, and maybe you just might become the next James Rolfe.